Hello, so we're going to do our math lesson today. I'm going to go ahead and fold my paper into 8 squares. I'm also going to screen share it for you. As always, if it works. All right, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold into 8 squares. I'm also going to try to ignore the screaming neighbors. All right. So today we're going to do lesson 9.3. And we're going to work on pages 100 to 105. All right. So we're going to start out first by looking at our math book. And we're going to talk today about turns and angle measurements. We talked a little bit before about turns and angle measurements. So we know that if we have a 90-degree angle, that is a quarter turn. We know that if we have 2 right angles, that is a half turn, and it measures 180 degrees, right? It's a straight line because 2 right angles together make a straight line. And we know that if we have 3 right angles, we have 270 degrees, and that's a 3/4 turn. And we know that if we turn all the way around, that's a 360, and it's a full turn. So we're going to draw these just really quickly, just a little diagram of them on our papers so that we don't forget. And I'm going to grab my protractor. You can use your protractor or your ruler or your drawing triangle. I think I'm going to use my protractor because then I'm also going to be able to measure the angles, and also my drawing triangle so I can do the right angles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a right angle. I'm going to draw the line that's vertical, and then I'm going to set my drawing triangle on here. Oops, sorry, I hit my keyboard. And then I'm going to set my drawing triangle on there. And I know that this is 90 degrees. And it is also a 1/4 turn. Okay, so that's easy to remember. Right next door, I'm going to draw the next thing, which is 2. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to draw 2 right angles. Together. So if I measure this area, that is going to be 180 degrees. And that is going to be a half turn. Now, if I measure a 3/4 turn, it's going to look like this. This is a little bit harder to do, but I'm just going to eyeball it because I have a pretty good eye. So if I'm doing 3/4 of a turn, that is going to be 270 degrees. And it's going to be a 3/4 turn. Now, if I do a 360, I should probably draw this in too. This is a quarter turn. If I do 360, I'm going to put that right here in this square. So 360 is going to go all the way around. So that is a 360 degree. And it's a full turn. We would call it a full turn. Okay. So quarter, half, 3/4, full turn, right? Pretty easy to remember. All right, now we're going to flip over to page 101. And it says, using 1/2, 1/4, 3/4, or 1, complete the questions. So I'm going to go right here. This is number 1. And A says 2 right angles make up a what turn? So if I have 2 right angles, that looks just like this drawing we just did. So they make up a half turn, right? So we're going to say half turn. Four right angles is the same as, well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, as 1 full turn. $270 degrees is what of a full turn? Three-quarters. 93 degrees. Okay, this one's going to be tricky. Let's see if we can figure it out. 93. So this is 90. This is 180. 93 degrees is between a quarter turn and a half turn, right? If I have 100 degrees, it is exactly what of a full turn? Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm not on E. E says 200 degrees is between a what turn and a what turn? Well, if I have 200, it's going to be between 180 and 270. So it's between a half turn and a 3/4 turn. Okay. 100 degrees is exactly green box of a full turn. So 100 degrees would be 90. We know that 90 is a quarter turn. And we know that 180 is a half turn. So if we had 100 degrees, let's think about that for a second. Let me grab my protractor. Beep. It's not wanting to lift up. So if I have 100 degrees, 90 degrees is right here, and 100 degrees is right here. So we would say it's probably a quarter, a little over a quarter of a full turn. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to do some exercises where we look at, if we know certain measures, we're going to look at missing numbers. So this is kind of a cross between algebra and geometry, and it's kind of fun. It's like being a detective. So let's look at number 3. We know that if we have certain numbers of angles, we can use the information we have to find a missing number. So if I have on number 3, I have something that looks like a right triangle, and it looks roughly like this. And then it also has another little line, another angle that's down here. And this is called A. This point right here is called O. This point right here is called C. And this is called B. Now, we know some measurements. We know that the measurement of angle AOC is 90 degrees. We know that the measurement of angle BOC is 35 degrees. So now we're going to figure out the measurement of angle AOB. What does that equal? So let's look at it. We know that this total, that AOC, the total is 90 degrees. We also know that BOC, that this measure right here is 35. So now we want to find out the measure of AOB. We want to find out this measurement. So we're going to use algebra to figure out the missing number. We're going to take the total angle of AOC, which is 90 degrees, and we're going to subtract 35 degrees from that. And that's going to tell us the missing number right here. So we're going to regroup. And we know that the missing angle is 55 degrees. So we know that the measure of angle AOB equals 55 degrees. So if we have enough information, we can use that information to figure out what's missing, the missing information. All right, let's look at number 4. I love doing these. They're kind of fun. They're like little puzzles. So now we have something that looks like, roughly, it looks like a little bit greater than a right angle. So we have a little line down here. And then we have an angle coming out like this. And we have another angle coming out like this. So we have this, this, this. This is X, this is O, this is Y, and this is Z. So this is telling us that the measure of angle XOY equals 125 degrees. The measure of angle YOZ equals 15 degrees. And now it's asking us, what's the measure of XOZ? So let's look and see. We know that XOY, this big huge chunk right here, is 125. So we know that. We know that YOZ is 15. Now we want to figure out what XOZ is. So we can add 125 to 15 to figure out the total. So our total is 140 degrees. So we're going to say the measure of XOZ equals 140 degrees. All right. It's kind of fun. You're just you're taking what information you know to find the missing number. All right. You ready? Let's do another one. Wahahaha. I'm going to flip. So we have number 5. Number 5 has a figure that looks like this. I feel like it's always really important to draw the figure in, because when you draw something, I'm saying this as an artist, when you draw something, you understand it better because you're looking at it and you're thinking about it while you're drawing it. This is labeled A, this is labeled O, this is labeled T, and this is labeled B. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to take, it says AOB is a straight line. AOB is a straight line. And what do we know about straight lines? What do they measure? Straight line, we drew them yesterday in math. A straight line, or by the time you watch this, we drew them last week in math. A straight line is always 180 degrees. So I'm just going to add that. We know that the measure of BOT so BOT is right here. BOT, this is 68 degrees. So now we're going to find the measure of AOT. So AOT is this angle right here is the question. So if we know the total is 180, the straight line is 180, we can subtract 68 from that and it will tell us the missing number, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to take 180 degrees of the straight line and we're going to subtract 68 degrees. We have to regroup. And our answer is the measure of angle AOT equals 112 degrees. All right, we have one more of these to go, right? One more. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go, number 6. So again, I'm drawing it because I want to get to know it. And when I draw something, I learn about it. Just like when you draw a person, you learn about the person. Okay, so I have something that looks roughly like this. And this is FOH, FOH, and this is G. And it tells me that the measure of angle FOG is 72 degrees. So this is FOG. So this is 72 degrees. It tells us that the measure of angle GOH equals 108 degrees. So this is GOH. And I like to label, I just draw it in, I label it in. So what can we say about angle FOH? Is it a straight angle? That's my question. Is it a straight angle? Is this a straight line? It looks straight. So let's add 108 plus 72. And if it's a straight angle, that's going to give us 180, right? So if we take 108 plus 72, so we know that angle FOH is a straight angle. And we know that straight angles are 180 degrees. All right. So these are kind of fun. And what gets even more interesting is when you have more missing information and you have to figure it out. Then it becomes really fun. It's sort of a really tricky puzzle. All right. We're going to do we probably have 10 more problems to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to fold this in half so that I have enough space to do those problems. So this is going to become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. Okay, so let's look at number 1. How many turns are in 3 right angles? Well, I can go back and look at my drawing, can't I? If I have 3 right angles, 1, 2, 3, then I have a 3/4 turn. Okay, how many turns are in 4 right angles? Well, if there's 4 right angles, then you have 4 out of 4, which would be 1 full turn, right? You would have what we did over here, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a full turn. That's a 360. What fraction of a full turn is 2 right angles? If I have 2 right angles, I have a half turn. So it is a half turn. All right. Use the pair of angle strips to form these angles and draw each angle on a piece of paper. So I'm going to use my angle strips, right? So an angle between a 3/4 turn and a full turn. Okay, so a 3/4 looks like this, right? And then a full turn looks like this. So we have to go somewhere between, let's see, a full turn. So it would probably look almost like a backwards 7, right? Because it has to go between here and also between here. So I'm going to draw it like a backwards. And it would go somewhere between 270 and 360. So let's just draw it with our. So if I did this, I would have to draw it from, I think I drew this too low. So it would be between, see if I can do it so that it looks like it's going up instead. Now, instead of measuring this little space in between, we're measuring this, right? So that's the angle. And then this would be, it would be 360 minus a little bit, right? because they wanted us to go between 270 and 360. Okay, let's look at number 6 or number 5. Number 5 says an angle between a half turn and a full turn. So if I wanted to show a half turn is a straight line, and a full turn is going to go all the way around. So it's going to have to be a little bit almost like this, right? So let's do a straight line and we'll do a little bit down. Okay, let's look at number 6, an angle between a quarter turn and a half turn. So this is a quarter turn, this is a half turn. So that means it's got to be somewhere like that, because this is a quarter, this is a half. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle. So we're going to draw a right angle, something between a right angle and a half and a 180. So it's going to look like this. And it's going to be this measurement that we do. Okay. Whew. Those were kind of hard. I think they were a little bit tricky. So now we're going to do 7. Number 7 has some angles, and it's going to tell us to find some measurements. So here we go. I'm going to just draw what I see. I have a straight line on the bottom. Then I have a line that's kind of out here. And then I have a line that's kind of right here for number 7. And I have this, 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 and this. I'm going to zoom in a little teensy bit. Now this is E. This is P. This is G. This is F. And it says find the measure of EPG. So we're supposed to find the measure of these two together. This angle is 73 degrees, and this angle is 69 degrees. So what do we have to do to find the total all together? Just have to add them together. That will tell us the total. So the measure of, let's go ahead and add them up here, 73 plus 69 is 142 degrees. So the measure of angle EPG equals 142 degrees. All right, here comes the next one. Dun, dun, dun. This one looks like it's a little less than a right angle. So I'm going to draw a straight line on the bottom. Straightish, a little less than straight. And then this is a little bit, it's not perfectly straight. And then there's a line in the middle for number 8. And again, I always draw because drawing is a way to get you to jog your brain and to make your brain think and to make your brain see things and understand things. It's kind of like taking notes. So we have an L and a Q and an M and an N. And then over here, we have an X. And over here, we have 46 degrees. So it says the measure of LQN, so the measure of the whole thing is 84 degrees. So this whole thing is 84. And we're going to find X. So once we know the total, we know that the total is 84. We know that part of it is 46. We can find the missing number by subtracting 46 from 84. And so I can see that x equals 38 degrees, because 38 plus 46 equals a total of 84. All right, now we have a picture. Dun, dun, dun. We have a picture of a fan. Sherry buys a paper fan during a carnival. Find the measure of LTN. So we're not going to draw the fan. We'll just draw the angle. I don't know that I need to draw the whole fan. So it looks like it's kind of open part way like this. And then it has another line kind of up here. And this is LTN. And this is M. And then we know that this is 38 because it's telling us that. And we know that this measurement is 73. So we're trying to find the measure of the whole thing all together. Hint, 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 all together. The measure of angle LTN equals, what's going to equal 38 plus 73, right? So it's 111 degrees. All right, that's how big her fan is. Okay, now we're looking at a menu down below. The diagram shows a menu. The measure of XPZ, that's this part right here, XPZ, is 168 degrees total. Find the angle measure of B. So if we know the total and we know part, we can figure out the other part by subtracting, right? So let's draw it out just so that we're not going to draw the book part or the menu part, the open menu with all the food on it. But we're going to draw it just open like this. And the open part looks like this. Okay, this is X, this is P, this is Z, this is Y. And we know that this is 58 degrees. This is called B. It's a missing number. So it's represented by a variable B. And then we have the total measure is 168. So we know that the measurement of angle XPZ equals 168 degrees. And then we know that we're going to subtract 58 from that. And our answer is B equals 110 degrees, right? Because 110 plus 58 equals 168. So I hope this helped you to understand that you can, if you have a knowledge about what angles exist, you can find the measurements of missing angles by doing a little bit of simple addition or subtraction to figure that out. You have to just be a little bit of an angle detective, which is kind of a fun thing to be. The Sherlock Holmes of angles. All right, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you later.